So today we have Prajjwal Bhargawa with us, who has his amazing channel AI Journal, where he has done a lot of research work and he keep on putting his content on his channel. You can just go and watch out his channel. He has done amazing work over there. So he does research on machine learning and artificial intelligence, and so today actually I have invited him on our channel to share his experience and his research work with us, and so how the students can get started on machine learning. And so we have got responses from the students, and so today we'll be discussing all those questions which we have received from the students. And okay, Prajwal, so let's get started.
Hello.
Hi.
Is my voice audible?
Yeah, it's audible.
Hi everyone. Today I'll be hosting a Q&A session regarding all the questions which have been raised by you people. I won't be going into technical details, but what I'll provide is a high-level vision of what you should be doing or what steps you can take uh, in pursuing machine learning as a career choice, or you want to uh, move further your career and like pursue graduate studies in machine learning.
So,
Firstly,
Prajwal, can you zoom it little bit?
is it fine?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, so one question is, what is the path needed to be followed in learning machine learning which leads to good job internship? So what I would recommend is in machine learning only if you think that you are genuinely interested in this field and not doing what other people are doing. So firstly, you should be clear about that. And one way of like, how you can probably do that is take some online courses and try finishing a project. So in courses you should take, you may ask. So like these are some of the go-to courses which I would recommend you. So firstly, you would require some knowledge about how you would go about coding. So preferably, if you have been coding for 8 to 9 months, then you would have a good grasp over the language itself, and some CS background, especially if you know Jupyter notebooks, all of that, and also it requires motivation. So what I would highly recommend is in order to get a good grasp upon the mathematical background which is required, I would highly recommend this deep learning book by Ian Goodfellow, Yoshua Bengio, and others. So the book is available for free, as you can see here. So like this is one of the chapters, and there are so many chapters in this book, which I would recommend you do that. And it's really good. Once you are thorough with part one and part two, think you have the necessary background. Just you should uh, take this course CS231. It's also a really good course, which I think many more people. Yeah, so the lectures are available online on YouTube, and the exercises are also available. You can take this course, and it will give you a high-level picture of what CNNs are, and it will give you a good understanding of how computer vision would work. So, and other things which you can do probably is take the classic engineering's Coursera course and specialization course. This these courses are taught in uh, 10 low introduction on how these deep learning, and once you have taken test, then you will start a practice course, and it's one of the best courses out there. And also I would recommend recommend you do is you master 2 3 fully properly and then starting on with the project. Now coming back to the question, what is a path which you should be following? So I would definitely say that complete some courses because that will give you some high level understanding of field are you working in, and then once you have finished some courses, try working on some project and open source it, uh, share it with other people, write some blogs also. Blogs being used by people to share what they have learned, and these are being used by other companies to see what kind of talent are they going to hire. So it's a good thing. And yes, once you have done all this, make sure to have make some open source contributions also. Meantime, by open source contributions means frameworks, libraries which have going to be useful to you. You can uh, contribute them in some ways. It shows how much dedicated you are, and all these things are basically an indicator of how much motivated you are, and that will really help uh, know that you genuinely care about this field, and it will also enhance your knowledge. So I think this answers your question. So I would say there's another question which asks how to prepare a data set. There are so many ways of how you would go about that. I can tell you with my experiences how do you deal with a data set, and the best approach which you can try is go to kaggle.com and play around with Kaggle kernels. So these kernels are like Jupyter notebooks which are being hosted on Kaggle servers, and you can play around with these notebooks. It's not require any setups at the back end. So you can use a GPU. So for example, have a look at this repository. So people share these exploratory data analysis all the time, and when you just go through them, you get an understanding of what kind of data you're dealing with. For example, this is one of the latest data sets which have been released regarding COVID, and as you can see, someone has shared kernel about how they dealt with the data. So if you visit enough kernels, it will give you some understanding of how you deal with the data itself. So I guess this answers the question: how do you optimize, reduce the model training time? So one thing people use is one approach is called distillation of neural networks. It was a paper proposed by Jeff Hinton, and what just you should go about reading this. So there are so many implementations of this paper, but I'll point to the original paper which started this. And so basically, you train a bigger network, and then you have a student network and a teacher network. And teacher network is like cumbersome; it's massive model. And what you essentially want to do is have a smaller network, and you basically train the smaller network based upon the output generated by the larger network. And what it has allowed people to do is, for example, this is one this very quick paper which appeared in Ulip's workshop also, Distilbert. So they used the same approach, and the original BERT model was very big to use, and Distilbert used the same methodology to train a smaller network. So it will help you reduce the model's training time, or it will probably get an optimized version. Other thing which you can do is perform quantization. It's also a new emerging area, and by quantization you can basically tune out your network's parameters. So answers your question. Is my voice audible to you?
Hello? Yeah, you are audible. Continue, please.
how ML can help in using sequence network called LSTM. So there are so many implementations out there which fast would happen. So basically, you perform forecasting with your deep learning model. Yeah, if you have a time series dependency, then you can use probably LSTMs and your network accordingly. So there are so many implementations. I can refer you is found on for example, this implementation. There's so many implementations out there. What you really want to network which makes use of recurrent operations that can account for time lag dependency that you may have. So, for example, the past data is dependent, the future data is dependent upon what happened in the past. So, about LSTMs in detail, Chris Ola has a really good blog upon this, which I would highly recommend reading about. How to make that learning faster? I would recommend you spend more time upon studying all these concepts. I guess if you are spending around 5 to 6 hours every day, that would probably suffice. The thing is, it depends upon person to person. I guess fast, if you like fast out here, it would probably take you 4 months, and then all the Coursera courses would probably 2 months, and then making projects or getting hands-on practice, let's say for 5 months, you would have what kind of problems what kind of problems you deal with in this field. So spend more time. That's the only way of how you can make the learning faster. We learn ML. I think this is like the best this time to learn this field, get hands-on practice. The reason why I'm asking is uh, it's increasingly being applied in many areas. All kinds of companies are using it, and with an explosion in how much data available to us, algorithms can underlying pattern in the data, and that would probably help us in getting ahead of ourselves. So if you see, for example, uh, with increased amount of data and algorithms, as you can see, few years back, we were around here. But as you can see, as we are starting to scratch the surface, understanding more deeply about how the underlying algorithms work, we have more data. We have seen incredible performances from these networks, and I think uh, these are some of the reasons why you should be learning ML. This I don't have any idea about. I haven't used this data. Is there any course for beginners to learn ML which also covers projects? I would highly recommend you go to fast.ai, and if you have some doubts, you can always post your query on such forums, and there's a very helpful active community which would probably help you out. So, for example, as you can see, there's so many people who are trying to scratch the surface, and there are many threads. So, for example, for beginner level people who are starting in this field. So, for example, part one is usually meant for beginners, and it's active. It's going on right now, and which would be made available to all people in July. But you can always refer to previous courses. So there are so many, and all these courses are meant for beginners. They don't assume you have any knowledge, prior knowledge in deep learning. So you can definitely check this out and check this link also. Uh, Tons of resources for people to get started. For example, it will probably many of the questions you may have. For example, all the subjects which you require, which are required for you to enable for use these algorithms, linear algebra, probability statistics, all these things you can easily find all these things online. Uh, causal inference optimization, Bayesian deep learning methods. All of these are there's so many resources out there. You should probably check out them. But if you're a beginner, I would recommend you starting from any of these courses. The order is not important, but what I would recommend is master 2-3 courses and make sure you have a good grasp over the knowledge over the concepts which are being covered in these classes. To be followed, good understanding of the problems in machine learning, and make sure you have some projects. I can't lay enough stress upon how important these are. Projects are a direct indicator of how passionate you are about this subject. Plus, it also shows how much knowledgeable you are. Uh, you can showcase your where you learned the potential employer or recruiter to reach machine learning that part. I guess I have answered this question here. It will probably help you out. Application of AI. So I think there are so many applications. Deep learning has diverged into two areas. So one is applied deep learning, one is research. So researchers, whatever they do, gets implemented in applied deep learning. So that's what engineers basically do. And so applications, there are so many applications out there, from self-driving cars to healthcare industry. It's being increasingly used in healthcare industry about radiology. So one such example is this is one such example, one such very relevant example of how deep learning is helping medical practitioners. So this is one such example. They collected data of chest X-rays and they ran the deep learning models over it. You can read the paper, and this is one such application. Other applications include generative modeling. What industries are doing, what Netflix is doing, making a recommender system for YouTube. All of that. My placements are going to start next semester. Can you share how I went to learn ARM? I think I've answered your question. Definitely check out these resources, and once you also you can check out these blogs. Lillian Wang has also a terrific blog. You can check out that. You should read about these blogs. It will give you an understanding of what kind of problems are researchers tackling. And yeah, check out these resources. This also has tons of resources. And once you are ready, spend some time on reading papers. Majority of what is happening in machine learning is based upon these papers. So check. There are so many. Yeah, there are so many publications out there. This is one such example. These papers are written in a very interactive format, and it will help you get some motivation of what kind of problems researchers are facing. So, for example, how do you go about understanding networks? So, interoperability is one such area which tackles how do we perceive such networks, representation learning. So this is read enough papers, and that will give you a good grasp of deep learning algorithms, how to get projects work in a team or individually, how to work on online projects. So I would again recommend you to forums or Fast.ai. I've seen some people collaborating over it. So what you can do is file you can open up a forum post and you can tell that your requirements and what you want to achieve, and hopefully other people who are interested in working with you, they will definitely contact you. Depend upon other people. I think first get started initially. The best thing to do is like get started initially, and then you can basically build from there. So, can you please share the list of online courses? I have already shared. Reach an intermediate level. I would recommend once you do all these, you would definitely reach an intermediate level, and from there on, it's all reading papers and implementing them. I have read that many of the property design jobs require a PhD in applied math or optimization machine learning field from people in US seem that people doing machine learning science are just struggling. Yeah, that's true. In this case, what is a scenario in a grad study deep learning certification and then interview. So I don't think you should be striving for machine learning certifications. I think projects hold more value. Yes, this is one scenario. They require PhD, and if you want to get started in research, I would definitely recommend you uh, to either definitely pursue your MS. I have seen people who got into good places by having a bachelor's degree, but that does not happen often. And I would highly recommend you to pursue your MS and preferably PhD, because firstly, PhDs are given more preference over all the opportunities that come up. So yes, and the other thing is one such a way of distinguishing yourself is publications. By publications, I mean papers, and this is usually the last step, because once you have gained enough familiarity with the framework, implementing and understanding of the algorithm, that's usually the last step. But uh, undergrads, what they should be doing is again do this. Uh, that's the only way of how people crack this field. Get some good understanding of the underlying subjects. Uh, Once you do that, make a good project which you can showcase online. Uh, that's a good indicator that you know the field well, that you are able to implement algorithms by yourself. What potential people are looking, what skills do they have is self sufficiency. You should be like you should provide evidence that you know about how you can implement these algorithms. So definitely, there's many GitHub repositories, uh, many papers. For example, if you go papers with code, usually this website will point you to papers which have codes available. So once you read the paper, uh, as you can see, there's a link code, and it links to many papers which have codes. So it also gives you which kind of methods are kind of state of the art. So this is one effective way of how you can deepen your understanding about the framework as well as paper. So this is one way to distinguish yourself, and once you do that, you can submit your papers in some workshop of some good conferences. And yeah, that's the one way of distinguishing yourself. Other way is to create some really good quality projects. What should be the next topic? I think if you already know the basics, then I would recommend that you explore some other areas. So there are so many areas I would recommend you to read papers. So there are so many conferences. These are some of the top tier conferences. And when you read papers from such conferences, what these allow you to do, you may not understand the paper properly or thoroughly, but it will give you some insight about the area which researchers are tackling, and that will give you an understanding of which area you might be interested in. So, for example, let's say if you open a CVPR paper, it's a computer vision conference, and if you are interested or intrigued by the method, then definitely you'll be provoked to work in that field for long. So I guess the answer to this question would be read papers and blogs. So there's so many blogs out there. You should see. There are so yeah. Other such thing which you can do is search for trends ICLR 2020, and these will point you to some pages. So yeah, you can definitely have a look at them, see what kind of problems are researchers tackling, and yeah, read those. You will get some understanding of yeah the area, how to become good at mathematical concepts, machine learning, bishops. Yes, it's a very famous book. Many people have read it. I find it very heavily married. Yes, once you gain a good understanding about the area itself, yes, it will help you get a good internship. But regarding maths, I would highly recommend you spending some time on this. Go through each chapter one by one. Ask your question on forums. There are many forums for posting your queries. I assume you have some engineering background and you would have probably studied enough maths in 11th, 12th. So that's all what is required to get started. This is one of the most recommended books. And yes, if you're finding it tough, then I would recommend that you brush up your basics first and then get on with this book. There are many resources for this. For example, there are linear algebra courses online which you can take. There's a three blue one brown course online on YouTube also which you can refer. I have so essence of linear algebra. So yeah, if you're having problems in understanding the basic concepts, I would recommend you go have a look at these interactive resources and then yeah, you would come back. What type of work happens in industry? So in industry, mostly what you're going to see is research, one applications of what's happening in research, right? So so mm, so for example, what really happens is you will start have a prototype generated, right? Which comes usually after doing research. Then a lot of optimization is performed, right? It depends upon the use case. What usually happens in the industry is deployment. Deployment is the central part, and by deployment I mean uh, when these are when the applications and the applications are deployed on servers. So this is usually the last step, and this is mostly where uh, the groundwork lays off. So you will have some output which comes from research, and then a lot of pre-processing goes on, as in how the prototype fits in to what's happening in real world conditions. So, for example, for a self-driving car, what will usually happen is, for example, let's see. So, just to give you an example, mhm. So usually for what you will see is, like, for example, so for example, this what comes. You would this is usually a scenario. So once your model is ready, this is usually the last step. Once it is ready, what you would do is test different methods of how this approach would fit to the real world conditions, and this is usually the most difficult aspect. And once it's ready, then it is put in a form which is good to go for deployment. So that's what usually happens. uh, in industry, you would definitely expect less research to happen, and it depends upon company to company what kind of work they are doing. Should it very immediate and then some company. See, I would highly recommend you get a good understanding of how a framework works properly. So one framework which I use on daily basis and I highly recommend is you go to assume PyTorch. Before you even go to PyTorch tutorials, I would recommend you get a good grasp on these courses first. Fast.ai teaches its exercises and its courses in PyTorch. So if you do this, in fact, part two of this course, 2019's course was like completely taught how PyTorch works. Once you get a good understanding of how these algorithms are playing a role, yes, then you can use PyTorch, and yes, you should not run these commands, run all like run basically anything if you're not able to understand it. So yes, going about toy, so toy assignments, there are a lot of if you do these courses, you'll get some taste of what assignments are really like in machine learning, and then you can head over to PyTorch tutorials. It will give you some experience. Can you share your internship experience? So I basically did 3 internships, uh, one in academia and 2 in industry. And I would say that from my experience, whatever I've given would be definitely beneficial to you. The experience may differ from person to person. Our typical ML internships is a combination of if you want to become an engineer in machine learning, yes, you are required to study data structures and algorithms because these are the type of questions that would be asked in the interview. So what you can do is head over to LeetCode. There are tons of questions out there, and in addition to that, make sure you have a good grasp of machine learning because that's where the oral questions are going to be based upon. Rakesh, do you have some questions?
Uh, yeah, Prajwal. So I was actually going through each and every questions, and I think you have covered most of them. So uh, I think you have started with the courses and what are the courses which they should go in the beginning, and you have also take them through the different research paper which they can go through when they go into intermediate state. So all those things will be pretty helpful. Like you have given them a pretty fair idea and the roadmap how they can begin, and then the intermediate, and then finally they can do some projects and uh, write some papers and all. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that would give them fair idea, and I hope this will clear the lots of doubts and queries. And we will also share your that video which where you have mentioned about internship, and that has quite good content as well. So we'll share few of your videos which will help them a lot. And here also you have cleared lots of their queries. So I hope this session will be pretty useful, and I'm really sorry about whatever technical issues which has happened in the beginning, and I will try to share this particular conversation to maximum students so that they can utilize uh, this content and they can clear their doubts. Okay,
All right,
and
all right.
I would like to thank you a lot. Thanks for your time, and and at the same time, we are also sorry for all
Yeah,
the
yeah, no
issues that
problem.
has happened. And yes, so definitely we will try to reach out to more and more students to share this, because a lot of students they face a lot of problem in the beginning, especially in the beginning time, how to start and where to start, which all courses we should do. If we do this course, what's the next? So they have a lot of queries like this, and I think that holds them. Like some student has also mentioned about the mathematics. That they get stuck with this. So you mentioned try to brush up your basics of mathematics, and then you can go ahead with that particular book which you have mentioned. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it will give a fair idea to them to start with ML, and yeah, they can continue with that. So thanks again. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay.